We're a data company, and we focus on three areas. One is secure data integration. We connect businesses to businesses. For example, we would connect large retail companies like Walmart, Target, with their manufacturers. We are also a file sharing company. So just like the Dropbox of the world, we do file sharing with the enterprise. Highly secure, you can sync data, share, view, and edit. And the third area of expertise is everything around big data and Internet of Things. And we're specifically focused on moving large amount of information, highly scalable and highly secure, into analytic systems, and then take those decisions into endpoints where they've been consumed. And we also bring in traditional Hadoop analytics with non-Hadoop systems, like enterprise data warehouses. We actually look at both synchronous and asynchronous data transfers. Typically, large amount of volumes are picked up in some intermediate collectors, and then we take the data. So that becomes asynchronous. And then when you're actually having messages coming from sensors, that's asynchronous. We focus more on the asynchronous transport versus the synchronous ones. But it's a spectrum. So one use case I'll talk about is we have a medical device company, which essentially has devices in the hospitals. And then we connect both ways. So if there are any issues with the devices, they light up, and through Cleo, they connect to headquarters. And similarly, when the headquarters comes up with new software patches, we would then asynchronously transfer them to those devices. So we work a lot with both providers, payers, as well as clinical trials companies and data science companies which work with pharmaceuticals. So essentially, we have to comply with the mandates, whether it's HIPAA, PII. So what we do is we make sure whether data is at rest or is in flight, is highly encrypted. And beyond encryption, we also look at access controls, etc. So only the right people who can see the information can see it. And then for others, we can aggregate it so the data is masked. So by looking at different levels of encryption, aggregation, and masking, we can create actionable intelligence without compromising privacy mandates. The key thing is, at the end of the day, it's really the business use case they're solving, right? So data is an enabler. So, and we saw that in the presentation this morning. It's all about ultimate business outcomes, and how do we look at the net present value of those investments and the returns, and then data enables it. So we have seen customers from every spectrum. I've seen customers who just use Hadoop because it's cheap. These are large banks which, instead of using traditional expensive storage, would use Hadoop to store. That's it. And there's a business case around storage. And then there is this other extreme where people are looking at combining data to come up with predictive and prescriptive intelligence, where clearly that data insight creates an outcome which is otherwise not possible. So we always work with them on looking at where they are, what's the level of appetite, and then really help with use cases and the business case behind the use cases. And that's really critical. We go through a lot. In fact, that presentation is very classic what happened in the industry, right? People have databases, people have enterprise data warehouses. The question now is there are new sources of data. How do you bring them? How do you ingest the information? And I really like the discussion on schema on read, and that's what we do. Mm-hmm. We're schema on read. We get the information, and then it could be transformed, it could be analyzed later on, but just get organic data in whichever form it is. It could be Twitter feeds, it could be email aggregations, and so that's really the state of the industry. And what we need to do is go through phased approaches where we can make use of existing data stores, add new data stores, and then be able to leverage normalized data and make decisioning. So in terms of curriculum, I think it's really good to look at a curriculum which balances the tools aspect, the analytics aspect, and data science. Because one without the other doesn't allow us to have students who are prepared to handle the problems of today and tomorrow. So it's extremely important to get the balance. And as McKinsey and everyone have published, there is a huge dearth of data scientists. So the career is bright, the salaries are going to be top of the range, but it's extremely important to look at the business aspects, the computer science aspects, and I would say the industrial engineering type analytics aspects, and be balanced professionals as they graduate.